Thanks. Yeah, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, good. All right. So um, you want me to explain my point about Trump?
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, I just think that I mean, it seems like he's going to win the nomination, but if he doesn't win the GOP nomination, I think a bunch of people who would have voted Republican are just gonna they're just gonna throw their hands up and just go, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. They're not going to vote Republican. They're going to be so pissed off and just abandon the party.
Well, there's not going to be anyone to vote for in the Republican Party, and he technically already has the delegates to have won the nomination.
Mm-hmm. But are they talking about? They're talking about putting other people up against him or somehow sidelining him. I don't even know what they're talking about really, but aren't they talking about essentially trying to steal it from him?
Yeah, there's been talk of challenging him, but his power is so great. And I don't mean like his power. I should clarify that. His social power,
Yeah,
among the people,
yeah,
is so great that I watched a YouTube video yesterday, and there was a 16-year-old black kid that was campaigning for Trump.
mm-hmm.
And Trump is not very pro race relations. So it was interesting to see this 16-year-old black kid articulate his points, though. And he had good points. And he was just trying to say that Trump would make America a better place for him in, say, 20 or 30 years.
Right. I think he's definitely. I mean, there's no reason also to assume that that specific kid is swayed by the identity politics or whatever. You know, that he votes based on, being black or something like that, right? Like he's well within his rights to be more interested in other specific issues, right? So I think I'm not saying you're not articulating that. I'm just kind of my point.
Right. No, you're exactly right. This kid was wildly smart, and he was actually being challenged by another black individual, and the other black individual is probably 35 or 40, and he just shut him down. And it was really interesting to see a 16-year-old just shut down a 35-year-old.
Yeah.
I'd never seen that before. But I completely agree with you, actually, that if somehow the Republican Party wiggles in another nominee and they don't get Trump to challenge Hillary, then Hillary's going to be the next president, and that's a whole nother situation in itself, because she was receiving State Department emails on her own personal email server, and so that's like, and that's just to name one kind of thing, and it's like,
well, it's like the first thing you do correctly. So you mean?
Right. You know, at your business, you set up your work email, and even just anyone's business, you set up your work email, and that isn't forwarded to your home email.
You're right. That's true.
So
sometimes you have to get someone else to do it, but I seem to always get that job in my family to set this up, but.
Right,
yeah.
But
point taken.
You don't get it forwarded to your home email, so you always have access to it.
Mm-hmm.
You carry around a business cell phone that always has access to it.
Yeah, at least you have to by law.
Right.
Yeah.
And we pay her well enough to give her a cell phone. I'm sure
Yeah.
of that.
And to hire the Geek Squad.
Right.
Well, it's kind of interesting because there's a lot of things that can upset the apple cart in this election, aren't there? I mean, one of the things that has me interested is if Gary Johnson is able to get on the debate stage, that's gonna have a huge effect. Like one way or the other. I don't know what the effect will be. I don't know who he's going to pull from more, but you know that would really rock the boat somehow. And so there's that, and then there's like, what if Hillary, if they decide that she did break the law, and there's a lot of things that can go weird, aren't there?
Right. And then there's that whole Benghazi thing that that's a whole different story that she knew that ambassador personally and didn't. So we have planes stationed in not just regular planes, but like fighter jets stationed in Italy and then stationed in Africa all of the time. And we could have had those planes up and in the air and to Benghazi in a matter of 20 minutes. And she told those generals that were in charge of those two locations in Italy and in Africa to stand down.
It's bad
and
news.
So it's kind of like, why'd she do that? Because if you get the opportunity to see the movie 13 Hours, it's not an anti-Hillary movie.
Mm-hmm. I'll watch it. Nobody's ever recommended it to me yet, but I'll check it out based on what you just said.
Yeah, it's just about the Benghazi situation.
I'm gonna check it out. I'm just getting one of my friends is texting. I guess he's watching. It's Brandon. Are you watching, Brandon? Do you have some opinion on this that you wish to share? Oh yes, he does. He's got questions. He's I guess he's pro Hillary or pro Bernie or something like that. Well, username
I'm pro
says it all, right?
Bernie.
You're pro Bernie, okay?
I love Bernie Sanders.
Okay.
So if we could somehow get the cost of education, and if all it would take is taxing the corporations like such as Apple and Amazon, and keeping those taxes in the country, rather than letting them be taxed out of the country.
So what do you think? I mean, he's obviously not going to be the nominee, right? And he's kind of been bilked out of that a little bit. So what effect do you think that's going to have on Hillary's campaign? Or support, rather?
I personally think Hillary needs to choose him as her VP. Almost.
Yeah.
Because
or someone like Elizabeth Warren, maybe, or something.
Yeah, something like that. Because kids, young voters love this idea of free education, free healthcare, free. I shouldn't say free, but tax-paid healthcare, tax-paid education, tax-paid all of that, kind of the socialist idea that way. And then the capitalism economy.
But is he going to call her out though if he was her VP?
He has already. Yeah, you got a good point there. That's a great point, actually. That's a fantastic point.
It would be highly entertaining if that did happen, I have to say.
he would call her out, and but if he was her VP, then the best thing that could happen would be if she were to get charged with a crime, he would move to the presidency.
That would be amazing. That would be an amazing turn of events. It would be like the most unusual election year in history.
Oh yeah, since the Gore Bush election year, it would be the most unusual election year in history.
I think it would. I think it would be more impressive than that. You know, that you're talking about the Chads and all that business, right?
Yeah, when Bush rigged that election.
That would be amazing. I'm kind of okay. I have my own political opinions, but more than anything, I kind of just like the idea of chaos. Just let's see what happens. Let's see what happens if everything goes wrong in the election. It's kind of entertaining to me. So that's like a wet dream.
I know Hillary spent about a month ago. Hillary wasted about 2 weeks in West Virginia, and the reason I say wasted is because West Virginia is so strongly conservative. It's disgusting. I mean, she could spend 2 months there, and she wouldn't win the state.
No.
She could come to where I live in Colorado and spend 2 weeks, and it would be a very close vote, and she'd probably win the state. Colorado's very split. We're not very one way or the other.
Those are the important states, really, aren't they, to be in? It's the ones where
right.
Either person could win. They do like a chart, don't they? A map every year where it shows if you vote in these, at least if you follow the third party stuff as I do, they show you these are the states in which you can vote for a third party and not worry about handing the election to the other party. You know what I mean? To the other major party.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Like if you were in California, because California is going to go to the Democrats. So it doesn't matter how you vote. I mean, you may as well vote Green or Libertarian or whatever if you so desire.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. It's getting to be kind of a almost like a crapshoot where I would love so much to see a third party emerge.
Well, it's like it's closer this year than it's ever been. It's definitely the Gary Johnson's got a second in command, a VP running mate, who is Bill Weld, who's I think he was like governor of Massachusetts, and then Gary Johnson was governor of New Mexico, and they're not quite getting the mainstream coverage yet, but that's because they're not really being seen with the other candidates. But if they get a high enough number on the polls, which I believe is 15%, they should automatically be included in the debates. And if that happens, as far as I'm concerned, all bets are off. It's hard to imagine how that affects the other two candidates, because it kind of he's gonna call both of them out on the stupid stuff they say, and he's going to be more reckless because he's not worried about he's not going to feel like he's got it in the bag and just be content to lay back and just dance around. Like, if Hillary feels like she's winning, she's going to just kind of try not to say anything dumb or whatever. He's going to be swinging. It doesn't matter who's winning. It's going to be very interesting. And Brandon says if Bernie runs Green Party, it could be a major issue for Hillary.
True.
Good, but the thing is, with the Green Party, they're not on all the ballots. That's the difference between the Libertarian and the Green.
If Bernie.
No one's more reckless than Trump.
I made a T-shirt that said "Humble Trump."
Humble Trump.
Because he's obviously not humble.
Uh-huh.
He makes statements just to get attention.
Yeah.
And that's an issue. And the scariest part for me is him dealing with international crises. That is a scary thing for me personally.
Because what? Because he might inflame someone and then they decide to bomb or something? Is that what you're thinking?
No, because he's a businessman and he's had no political experience. I mean, it's like
yeah, but Barack Obama was a community organizer
and the mayor of Chicago.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good point. But I don't know. I feel like running a big company like that, you kind of pick up a few tricks.
I'm sure you do, but they're kind of negotiation tricks, and they're different than negotiating with a prince in some, let's say, some Arab prince, and you need to please the Arab prince so you don't so oil prices don't skyrocket and then he thinks he can just do whatever the hell he wants. And that's not what you can do. You have to kind of go 50-50 there. You can't just march in with your plane and
okay. You saw the comment, did you?
Yeah, I did. You can't
Someone else is making statements to get attention. Ooh, burn.
You can't just fly in with your own plane and act like you're the shit. And it doesn't work that way. The world doesn't work. There's. My dad once told me that there's 7 billion people that don't know what you're doing and they don't care what you're doing.
It's true.
And Trump doesn't realize that, I don't think.
No, I don't think he cares. I think in his mind, he's making up his own reality in his own mind, which is, it's got good and bad sides to it. I love it though. I think it's just chaos. I love the chaos. And I think that as far as like if he's got to go and make a deal with someone, I think he makes. I mean, have you ever read The Art of the Deal? Because I haven't. I've read some other books
actually.
by him. You have.
I've read The Art of the Deal. Yeah.
Well, I did see a summary of some of his principles, and essentially a lot of it is like make it a win-win for both parties, and always go in with some crazy demand, and then back off from that. And to me, that's exactly what he's doing throughout this whole campaign. He's like, oh, we're going to build a wall. We're going to deport everyone. You're not going to do any of that stuff. What you're doing is going in with like an extreme measure, and you're going to back off from there, but you'll get more of what you want from that negotiation that way.
Right. Yeah.
That's kind of how
that's a good point. If you look back at his, I hadn't thought about that. If you look back at his writings, his writings kind of tell the story of the way he's running this election, and hopefully the way he's running this election, at least. And
it could just be a dingbat.
Right. and that is that he's asking for a ton and hoping just to get, like a 1/16 of that.
Yeah. I think he's doing that. And the other thing he does is he doesn't concern himself with details in his business. He hires people to take care of things, and then if they do a bad job, he fires them. I think he's also planning on doing a lot of that. So people criticize him for not knowing this and not knowing that. Does he need to, or does he just need to like have someone who does know what they're doing, or what they're talking about? Maybe he does. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
It's interesting. I tell you what. One thing though, it's really cool because we're going to see something unusual. That's
very unusual.
That's the cool thing, or the bad thing, depending. A lot of people think it's going to be the sky falling.
Yeah, I don't think the sky will fall. I think we'll be okay, but it'll be. Hopefully, we don't take too big of a hit.
Yeah.
And if Hillary's president, Bill will be there, and Bill was a great president.
It's just if she's president, it's going to be like the business as usual approach. You know exactly what is going to happen with Hillary, really.
Right.
Which is probably nothing different. So
right.
That could be good. That could be good. At least it's not down. So either way, I think we should approach this election with as if we really are watching reality TV or something. In a way,
for free reality TV.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure, my friend.
Yeah, my friend. It was the first time talking to you, I think. So we'll stay in touch. I've followed you, and I will.
And I'll do the same with you. And
Thank you.
We'll I followed you too, and we'll talk soon. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Pleasure. And just to answer that quick question, as a future billionaire, do I want business as usual? No, I don't. As a future I think there's a big assumption there, though, right? A future billionaire bit. That's if that happens, no, I don't.
If you're a future billionaire, you owe me $1 million. Just out of it.
All right. Consider this consulting.
All right. Sounds great.
All right, my man. I'll see you soon. Bye.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.